Oh, hello. My name is Mara, and welcome to Books Like Whoa. Guys, today I am celebrating the fact that I hit 5,000 subscribers, which boggles my mind. Yeah, I started this channel less than 2 years ago, and I thought that I'd be doing great to be at like 2,000, 3,000 by now, which I still would, but it blows my mind how quickly things have grown, especially in the last 4 or 5 months. It just makes it so fun, the more people who are involved in this. And anyway, I'm gonna try not to gush too much. The timing of this happens to be such that I can't do some of the things that I thought I might do for 5,000. I likely will be doing a giveaway of some kind, but I probably will just run that through Instagram because it's easier to manage there. So if you follow me on Instagram, keep your eyes out for that. But what I thought I would do for this milestone to say thank you, I wanted to kind of reflect on Booktube in some way, and there's been a few tags floating around recently that I thought would help me do that. So I'm gonna call this the Triple Truthful Tag celebration because I'm going to be doing 3 tags in one video. I'm gonna do my best to keep things moving, though I expect this will be a little bit of a long video. And that is the Perfect Subscriber tag, the Truthful YouTuber tag, and the Booktube Real Talk tag. So the first 2 of these I took from the beauty YouTube community a little bit more because they've been running around and I've been enjoying watching them. And then the Booktube Real Talk tag has been going on for the last couple of months, and I know I've seen a lot of them in my feed. And I thought that between these 3, this would give me kind of a good framework to mull on the YouTube and the Booktube of it all without getting too navel-gazy and like having some structure. So, like I said, 3 tags in one video, so I'm gonna try to keep things moving, and we're gonna start with the Perfect Subscriber tag, then the Truthful YouTuber tag, and then we'll finish with the Booktube Real Talk tag. So let's do this. The Perfect Subscriber tag was created by Katie Marie. I'll have her linked below, and as well as all the questions. So the first one is, do you subscribe right away when you find a new channel or video, or do you try a few videos first? It depends on the type of channel that it is. If it's a type of content that's hard to come by, I often will go ahead and subscribe just because I'm just excited to have found something that I like in that type of content. For ones where there's more kind of like a lot of content, so Booktube or Beauty YouTube or things like that, where there's plenty of that content to be had, I usually will try out a few videos before I actually subscribe. And then I do have 2 different YouTube accounts. I have a private one and then a Booktube one. So I'm more likely to go ahead and subscribe on my Booktube one than I am on my personal one. Number 2, does the make you subscribe mantra ever sway you to subscribe? Not consciously, but every YouTube thing tells you to tell people to do that. I think it is a reminder, and it works, I think, on some people sometimes, and maybe it has worked on me, but never consciously, I don't think. How many channels do you have notification bell turned on for? 0. I find those notifications really annoying, so if I don't want them on, I don't feel like it's fair to ask you to turn them on. So yeah, there you go. Next is, do you watch every video from your subscription feed or only your favorites? My personal YouTube is pretty well curated in terms of it's pretty honed in on what I want to what I want to watch regularly. So I wouldn't say every video, but I watch like in my recommended from my subscription feed. I watch most of those. YouTube does a pretty good job of knowing what I want to watch, pretty much like any video that comes from that person versus what is more like topic specific. So yeah, my feed is on my personal one is pretty well curated. I definitely don't watch all of the ones in my subscription feed on Booktube. It's more if I'll sometimes at work have that account up and I'll scroll through the subscription feed and see which videos sound good to me. Number 5 is, how many channels do you never miss an upload for, no matter how busy you are? Honestly, maybe like 3 that I can think of, because for almost every channel, there's going to be some content that I'm less interested in. Now, there are series on channels that I will never miss an upload for. So like the one that comes to mind for me is on Movie Bitches, when they are doing a RuPaul's Drag Race recap. I'm not missing that. Like if it's out that day, I'm watching it. But there's very few channels where like no matter what they put up, I'm watching it. Literally almost none that I can think of. Number 6 is, what kind of commenter are you? Girl, terrible. Because I watch so much of the YouTube that I do watch either on a TV in my house or at work when I'm like doing other things. I am so rarely in the position where it is easy for me to just go ahead and leave a comment. I try to remember to do that if I can. Half the people I watch have no idea I've ever seen a video from them because I am so terrible at commenting. If somebody like mentions me, I try to remember to actually go on there and like acknowledge that, but even then I'm imperfect at that at best. So shame on me, I'm really bad at that. Do you skip ads or watch them is the 7th question. I have YouTube Red, so it's a non-issue for me. And I did that because I do just watch so much YouTube that I felt like it was worth it to me. And also because if a video gets demonetized, YouTube Red avenue is the only revenue that a creator will get for that video aside from Patreon or whatever. So I feel like it's my way of, very small way of trying to give back to the community. Number 8 is, do you speed up videos? No, I have never done this. I know you can, I guess, but like it literally never occurs to me to do that. Let me know if you speed up my videos. That must be like a surreal, like, cause I already talk pretty fast. So yeah, I don't do it. I know a lot of other people do though. Number 9 is, do you click affiliate links or use affiliate codes? I'm not opposed to them. I just don't, especially like based on how I watch YouTube, much like the commenting answer I had, it's usually just not convenient for me to do so. So I don't normally, very rarely. I'm not against them, it's just not convenient for me. Number 10 is, what's your preference when it comes to video length, your sweet spot? It does somewhat depend on the type of video that we're talking about. So like, for instance, on Booktube, a wrap up, like I'm happy to have those be like a half hour long. I really like to, you know, settle in with those. If it's a haul, that would be long. Like I think more kind of in the 15-ish minute window is pretty good. Overall, I think 20 minutes is a pretty good length for me for a YouTube video. I think there used to be a feeling that you wanted videos to be really short, but yeah, not me. If I'm gonna sit down and watch it, I'd rather it be, you know, a good little chunk of time. Kind of like a sitcom without the commercials is about 22 minutes, like a half hour slot in TV. And I think, yeah, that's a pretty good goal for a YouTube video that I'm into. Number 11 is, do you thumbs up most videos? And then number 12 is, do you ever thumbs down a video? If I am on a page and like able to thumbs up a video, I go ahead and do it because I know it helps people out, and why not? I hardly ever thumbs down a video. So here's the thing, in terms of the algorithm, even people who thumbs down a video are helping you with your engagement. This is a whole topic on Booktube, I know, because like, I feel like if you're trying to leave commentary for someone about like a critique, a thumbs down is like the least helpful thing you can do, because like, what do you just like not like my hair that day? Do you not like a book? Do you not like me? Like there's no actual critique happening. So why would the only time I thumbs down a video is if it's like part of an overwhelming community response of like, this is not okay. So like if I saw a video that was like racist, I would join what I'm sure would be the legion of people thumbs downing that video because collectively it is saying like, this is gross, we're not into this. But like if a video has no thumbs down, your thumbs down means nothing. Like, so I just don't bother. And also if I had an actual problem with somebody, I'd be much more likely to leave like some sort of constructive criticism that was phrased kindly and constructively, not just, you clearly didn't read this book, or you just don't understand, or whatever. Like those comments always crack me up. I'm like, girl, whatever. Side note. So yes, I do thumbs up a lot of videos because I know it really helps people out, and I very rarely thumbs down a video, even though I know in terms of like a one-off thumbs down, it doesn't really matter. Like it would just help their engagement. So why bother? And then the 13th and last question in this tag is, do you ever share YouTubers' videos on your social media? And I definitely do when I can get my act together to do that. Again, I'm a broken record about the fact that the way YouTube watching works, it is not usually convenient for me to do that. But especially if I see somebody has linked a video on Twitter, I will often retweet that link. So that's more likely what I would do to share. But yeah, I definitely do share other people's videos, and I probably should get better about doing that. Note to self, I should also get better about commenting. This is called the perfect subscriber tag, but I think you can tell by my answers I am far from a perfect subscriber, so there's that. Then we move into the Truthful Youtuber Tag. Now, this is created by Mel Thompson, who I really like. She's a great beauty YouTuber. She's gorgeous, very down to earth. Her makeup is amazing. But I picked this. I'm gonna have to modify some of these because some of these are much more focused on beauty stuff as opposed to books. But I picked this because I think that this gets into some of the like mechanics of YouTubing in a way that I don't know that the Booktube Real Talk tag does. Same for the perfect subscriber. I wanted to get into some of the like more like minutia of how YouTube works. So anyway, let's dive on in here. So the first question I'm going to modify slightly to work for BookTube, which is, have you ever received an ARC, didn't like it, and decided not to review it? I have never been in that situation, and I don't think I would. I feel like if I get a book, let's put it this way, if I get a book and I tell you guys that I have gotten that book, I feel the need to follow up and tell you what my opinion on it was, even if that opinion was bad. I know some people don't do that. Like, I know some folks feel like if they get an ARC and they're not liking it, they'll kind of just let the publicist know, like, hey, I'm just not going to review this. And I can respect that as well. I think for me, once I've mentioned it on the channel, I do feel an obligation to follow that through. If, however, I got a book that I had not yet mentioned on here and I didn't like it, I might, in that case, just let the publicist know, like, hey, I don't think I'm going to review this because I didn't end up liking it. Number 2 is a book that you read alone but wouldn't share with your audience. I don't think there's anything like in principle I wouldn't share with you guys. I do read a lot of like one-off like self-pubbed genre fiction that I just sort of don't keep track of, so I don't end up talking about that as much unless it leaves some sort of real impression. But no, in principle, there's no book that I like wouldn't talk to you guys about. Number 3 is a book that you want but won't buy because you don't support the author or the publisher. Again, I don't think right now I'm in that situation, but it is tricky thinking through like if there was somebody who was doing the most, like Sherman Alexie, that's a good idea. Or Junot Diaz, a couple of those guys who've like been up in the shit in the last few years. If I had some book from them that I was like dying to read, at this point I probably wouldn't because of the drama. But right now there's nobody who I would really put in that category because I don't have like a burning need to read any of those. Number 4 is, do you have any blocked words? If you don't know, if you are a creator, you can block certain words from appearing in your comments. I do have 3 words blocked: the N word, the F word, and the C word. That is it, because the only kind of comment that I delete are actual hate-filled comments, and I think I'm not comfortable with any of those words being used in my comments, so I'm happy to block those. I don't usually, I think I've only ever deleted 1 comment. In general, as long as it's actual constructive criticism, I'm happy for it to stand. Oh, and then number 5 is, do you ever delete comments? If so, why? I just talked about that. And I guess I'll put that in with number 6, which is, do you block people? So I've never blocked someone. What I typically do if I'm in that gray zone between deleting a comment and not thinking it's a constructive criticism, I have hidden several people from the channel where I felt like the comments they were leaving were not in good faith. So they were either critiquing me or another person in the comments in a way that was, I just didn't think it was in good faith. So it was saying like, well, you're dumb or you're whatever. This is my hobby and I'm just not interested in having people engage in a way that is not constructive with me in the comments. And I'm definitely very low tolerant of that for anybody doing that to another commenter. So I think I've hidden maybe like 5 or 6 people from the channel, which is the best passive aggressive tool we have, because they still see their comment. They think that they are commenting, but I never see it. Nobody else ever sees it. They're just like talking to themselves in a bubble. It's awesome. Number 7 is, have you ever lied about a book to stay on good terms with a brand? Never. I think you guys know my reviewing well enough to know that I'm not afraid to be critical. Now, one thing I worry about, and I don't think that I've ever done this consciously, but anytime, I think just if anybody with manners, if you get something for free from someone, I do think it creates an element of like, I want to be polite or nice back to this person. I definitely have rated things lower that I've gotten as ARCs. I don't think I've ever consciously been like, I can't rate this low, because I clearly have done it. But I do wonder sometimes if like if I look on the bright side of things too much with ARCs. I don't know. I mean, that's something I kind of wrestle with internally, but never, let's put it this way, never consciously. And then number 8, have you ever initially liked a book when you reviewed it and then changed your mind but didn't let your audience know? Never consciously. I think I've actually mentioned several times on here times when my opinion about something has changed for the better or for the worse. I'm sure that maybe that's happened and I've not reported back to you guys, but never on purpose. Number 9 is a booktuber you don't trust. Honestly, no one comes to mind of like just categorically, I don't trust them. I'll say this, I'll spell a little T. I don't really trust booktuber reviews of booktuber published works. Not in every case, but let's put it this way, I go into it with a healthy dose of skepticism. I actually really feel for people in that situation because you're sort of damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you genuinely like something that one of your friends has written, people won't believe you because you're being nice about it. And if you don't like it, I mean, like, I would never want to have to like sit here and be like attacking something that somebody I really liked made. Like, that sounds like an awful situation. So I don't know, especially for like bigger booktubers who are getting those deals, like I will probably just avoid any coverage on Booktube of those books. Number 10 is the booktuber you trust the most. Whoa, okay. I mean, it's kind of a weird thing when it comes to books because the opinion, I trust so many people that every person that I watch, I trust that their opinion is a genuine one. In terms of like people I fully trust because like I know that they have no shits to give in terms of like they will let you know if they don't like something. A couple of people who come to mind are Lauren at the Novel Lush and Leanna from Leanna's Library. Like, they are not afraid to take some heat for having unpopular opinions that they do not slow walk. Do you know what I mean? Like they will let a book have it if they are not into it. Like, I think about Lauren actually today when I'm filming this, she posted a pretty pointed takedown of, what is it, Black Leopard, Red Wolf, which is a very popular book, and I think she really let you know why she doesn't like it. Leanna posted a great, like one of my favorite booktube videos ever, which is like taking down why she hates Way of Kings so much by Brandon Sanderson. And like, she took some serious shit for that. Like, the fanboys came out, whatever, but like, it was her experience. And I felt like she had, you know, I haven't read the book, and there were points where she was making that I was like, I don't know if I agree with that, but like, she was being completely honest about her subjective experience of the book. So in terms of like people who I know will go for it, those are two people who definitely come to mind. So number 11 is about like a secret application technique. I don't think that applies to Booktube, nor does number 12, which is showing one product but using another. That's never happened. Number 13, have I ever not disclosed a sponsorship? No, I've actually over disclosed what I was asked to do. So I will never not disclose a sponsorship because that's the number one way to break trust with people who watch you. And like, why would you ever do that? Never. I will always disclose any relationships I have with brands. Number 14 is, have I ever had a bad interaction with a publisher? No, I've had several really good conversations with people where I was like, hey, here's like the reality, like here's where I'm coming from in terms of my opinion about something, or like if I will or will not cushion my opinion about something. And every time brands have been really receptive to that. They get that that's a part of who I am. And like, my brand is that I'm very truthful and I try to give it to you guys straight. And it would actually, part of what they are wanting from me is my truthfulness. So like, I think they get that, and every publisher I've ever talked to about that has been understanding. Number 15 is, have you ever bandwagoned with other people's thoughts on a particular book? I would say yes. The one that immediately comes to mind for me is Children of Blood and Bone, because I think I wanted to like that book more than I actually did like that book. And I think the more time has passed from that book, I'm more confident that things that I was like, well, maybe that's just me, were not just me, but they were actually like problems with the book. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I think I would still probably, I think at the time I gave it a 4-star. I think now I'd probably give it a 3 or a 3.5. It's not that I didn't like it, but I think I got so caught up in the hype and so caught up in like loving the idea of the book and like what it represented that I think I definitely bandwagoned a little bit on that one. And then number 16 in this tag is things creators do that get on your nerves. Things that other booktubers do that get on your nerves. Like, I mean, I could say really petty things about, you know, certain types of content or unboxings. I think the thing I will say in terms of like what makes me not connect with another booktuber and like what will make me unsubscribe or not subscribe is somebody having either a person putting on a personality because they really want to project a certain type of persona on Booktube, or having no personality. And like, I'm really sad to say that there's so many booktubers out there who, not that they don't actually have personality, but they have not learned how to communicate that on camera. And so it is so flat, so monotone, and they seem like super lovely people, but like, it's just not watchable for me. So in that sense, I think that'd be the thing that gets on my nerves the most. Okay, and now we've made it all the way to the real show here, which is the Booktube Real Talk tag. This was created by Books with Alyssa J. Shout out to her. Thank you for creating this, and congrats, because this tag has been everywhere, so you did a great job. Number 1 in this tag is, what's something nobody told you about Booktube before you started your channel? I mean, there's a lot of like stereotypical answers here that I've been seeing, and they're all true, which is I had no idea how much time this was going to take. I had no idea that I was going to make like genuine real friends from this, which I definitely feel like I have. All of that is true. I think the thing though that stands out to me is that I don't think anybody told me how creatively fulfilling this would be, almost to my own detriment, because I think that doing Booktube has impacted, like for instance, I really love to write, and I've not done that as much since I started Booktube, because creating these videos really scratches like a creative itch that I have in a way that's really satisfying and gives a lot of immediate, gratification in terms of having people respond to something that I've made a couple of days or a couple of weeks after I've made it is really gratifying, and I think really fills that part of my sense of self. So I'm really thankful to have found this as a hobby, because I think it suits me really well and has brought a lot to my life. Number 2 is, what is your opinion on typical Booktube videos, things like wrap-ups, TBRs, hauls, etc.? Here's the tea, guys. I love those. I mean, I know that people complain about them, and I get it, but I kind of think of them as sort of like the foundation of our community, and then creativity sort of like blooms up from that. I really enjoy watching people find new ways to do TBRs and wrap-ups and everything, like in ways that are creative. But the reality is, when I'm deciding if I'm gonna like really like a booktuber, one of the first things I do is I watch their wrap-ups, because I think that tells you a lot about their taste. It tells you a lot about their ability to communicate about books in a meaningful way. So for instance, I didn't mention this in things that annoy me that other creators do, but I could have. If you are a reviewer who the only thing you can say about a book is like the synopsis and if it was good or bad, I'm much less likely to enjoy your content. I'm looking for people who can like give me some version of a plot synopsis and then have something more meaningful to say beyond that without getting spoilery necessarily. And that is a skill, and it's not easy to do. And when you find somebody who can do that well, it's great. And wrap-ups are a great way to get a sense of a sort of like rapid fire lightning version of what somebody's approach to talking about books is. So I think that they're really informative. I mean, same for TBRs. That's how you get a sense of like the scope of what someone reads. Now, I will say that hauls are probably the thing that I watch least from other booktubers that are a really popular video. I think I use them on my channel as sort of like a substitute for TBRs, because I don't really do TBRs very often. And it's a way to let people know kind of like what's imminently on the dock for me. But in general, if somebody does TBR videos on their channel, I'm much less likely to actually watch their hauls, especially if they're somebody who like is staying up on new releases, so their hauls are going to be pretty similar to everyone else's. If there's something unique about that, I might watch it. But in terms of like categorically how I feel about those videos, I think they're great. They're kind of just a part of what we do here. And yeah, of course, it's always good to see innovation beyond that, but I don't have a problem with those like core Booktube videos. Number 3 is, what is an assumption you had about Booktube before you joined? Was it proven to be correct or not? I think before I joined, I really had mostly only seen YA Booktube. Like I hadn't figured out quite the right algorithms or like followed the right chain of people to see how many non-YA booktubers there were. And that was one of the best parts of creating my channel, was that it immediately opened up this entire world of people who are not just reading YA on Booktube. I do read YA. I think so far this year, about 10 or 15% of what I've read has been YA. I like that as a part of my reading diet, but it's not the totality of what I read. And I think one of the cool things is that as Booktube has grown, and as some of those initial creators who helped Booktube become what it is today have aged and have, I think, started to branch out a little bit in their reading, I do think we're getting more variety on Booktube in terms of genre and like age range of books. That was definitely an assumption I had coming in that I'm delighted to say has been proven wrong. Number 4 is, what is something you've done that has actually helped you grow your audience? Sometimes I get folks who I'm sure are well-meaning, but will leave me comments or send me DMs that are a little insulting because they sort of have the implication of like, girl, you've grown so quickly. Like, how did you do that? Like what's the secret? What did you do to make this happen? And I think that if that's your mindset of like, what's the shortcut to grow? You're not setting yourself up for success. I think the thing that has helped me grow is that I have a mindset of this being a hobby, but that I have made a commitment to myself and to you guys that I'm going to have regular content that is quality and that is relevant. And I think in making that commitment, I think I've sort of looked at this and through the lens of like almost a small business, or like, I don't know. I think people talk about it like it's a bad thing to think about your brand or think about whatever. And I look at it as I make these videos because I want someone to see them. So like, what can I do to have people see my videos? I don't think you don't need to be embarrassed about that. And I think because I have been aware of how my videos are doing, like I check the analytics, try to figure out like, oh, this video like unexpectedly did really well. Let me see like if I can figure out maybe why. And sometimes I timed it really well with something else that was going on, or it was a particularly hot topic or a hot book that was going around, or I, got a shout out from a bigger booktuber and I was able to time on that and kind of make the most of the sort of bump in audience that I had at that moment. I think if you just want to grow, but you're not willing to think about it in those terms, I'm not saying it's impossible. Like, I think that if you have a truly unique voice and you kind of do the basics of like good thumbnail, consistent posting, all of that stuff, you can still grow quickly. But I wouldn't say that I have like the fastest growing booktube channel, but I do think that I've seen a lot of growth in the last few months. And I think it's because probably what has helped me grow is having an eye open to opportunities to grow and taking them when I see them. And yeah, like I think that's all you really can do in this kind of like crazy algorithm space of YouTube, is like when you have a moment, try to seize it and try to create those moments where you can. Number 5 is, what is a common mistake you see new booktubers making, or one that you made? Well, I mean, there's a ton of like, again, I could do a whole video on sort of like my thoughts about the mechanics of how, like, realistically, if you want to grow your audience or whatever, like just like some very basic things, like do some basic YouTubing of what you need to do to set up a channel. Like, don't forget about your description boxes, having the right kind of thumbnail for your audience, using your tags, posting consistently. I mean, like there's all those basic things. But here, you know what, like real talk, this is the real talk tag. You want some real talk? Here's something you have to ask yourself and be real honest. Because BookTube is growing a lot, if you want to have a channel that grows or like has more than just a few hundred people on it, are you bringing something unique to BookTube? And that's a really hard question to answer. And I think it takes some self-awareness and some self-honesty, because like, here's the reality, guys. If what you primarily read is new release YA, and maybe you don't have a super like engaging personality on camera, or at least one that translates well to camera, you're going to have a really hard time growing. That's just the reality at this point, because there's so many people who are doing the same thing. So like having some self-awareness and some honesty about what your brand is. And I know people don't like talking in those terms, but these are like questions about if you want to grow. I'm not talking about like, I would encourage anybody to make a BookTube channel if they want to have fun, if they want to have a way to like put their ideas about books out there, if they want to get a few hundred subscribers and like engage with other people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about if you're like purely looking at this as like a way to do this for fun, and like you're not looking to have not even like a super big channel, but just one that gets above, let's say, like 1,000 or 1,500 subscribers. Like, if you're looking to do that, like I said, I do think you have to have some level of awareness of where you fit in the BookTube firmament. And if there's a lot of people doing the same thing you are, it's going to be an uphill battle. Likewise, if what you read is really specific, you're definitely going to find people who also read that. And again, if you're just looking for people who share your passion for that very specific thing, totally go for it, because I think you'll find great, like a lot of people who are into the same things you are. You'll make friends. It'll be great. But just know that like there probably is a ceiling to the number of people you're going to be able to reach. So I think that like is the advice I really want to give people. And I hope that was said with as much like kindness and empathy as possible. But like, the reality is that there's a ton of people on BookTube now. The cool thing is that there's a ton of new people in the community like watching, but I know some people have talked about their views going down. I have not experienced that. I've experienced a lot of growth and increase in views. I think it's because I have a somewhat, not unique, but I have an unusual sort of like positioning within the community. I don't think that there's a ton of people out there doing exactly what I do. And I think that I do a pretty good job of communicating my personality on camera. I mean, that's something you have to grow into. But again, the realest advice I can give to someone is just to have like self-awareness and self-honesty. Don't put yourself down and assume that like, I'm not that loud, so I can't do this. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that you're gonna have to figure out how to be yourself on camera in a way that's really engaging with people. And if you're not willing to put in the time to do that, or if you don't have something unique in terms of like what you're reading or what kind of content you're creating, it's going to be a harder road. So hopefully that was helpful. Number 6 is, what is your thoughts on working with publishers or sponsorships? Girl, get it. If people really knew how much time goes into doing Booktube and how little in comparison most Booktubers can get paid for things like AdSense or sponsorships, I don't think as many people would be up in arms about it. It is like a drop in the bucket compared to the amount of time you spend, the amount of money that a lot of people spend on books or on equipment or whatever. Like, it's just a drop in the bucket. So I think if you can get it, work it. And also like, this gets into the age old thing of like, people, do they want to pay for creative things? I mean, it does take time and creativity for people to create YouTube. I'm not saying this is a work of art, but it is something that takes creativity and planning, and $5 here or there on AdSense revenue is like not that big of a deal. So get it where you can, girl. Number 7 is, do you think Booktube is dying? It's been funny, when I've been watching this tag, everybody has had the same response I did, which is like, no? Like, was that a question? I think Booktube is changing. I do think that Booktube is changing, but change isn't bad. Change is a part of life. And I'm excited about some of the changes that I see. I think we have a lot of new viewers coming into Booktube. I think it's a growing community, which is exciting. I do think that means change, and I do think that it is harder now to start a Booktube channel than it was when I did, because there are just a lot more people making these kinds of videos. And while the audience is growing, I don't know that it's growing. I don't know that the ratio of new channels to new viewers is imbalance. So I wonder if that's where some people's views are going. For me, I always try to think about what from the past is worth preserving and keeping and holding on to. In Booktube, I would say things like some of those kind of core videos, at least for now, I think are here to stay. I hope we retain our sense of community and kindness relative to the rest of YouTube, and engagement and passion. I hope that that stays. But you know, I'm confident that Booktube is going to continue to change. And to me, that doesn't mean it's dying. It just means that we're entering a new phase. And as long as we're on YouTube, where like shit changes all the time, that's just sort of the name of the game. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Booktube Real Talk tag. Whew. Okay, I've been talking for a long time. This is, I'm assuming, gonna be a long video. So I hope you guys enjoy it. I thought this would be kind of a different way to do, kind of to mull on my time on Booktube and YouTube without getting too navel-gazy. I'm so thankful for you guys. I'm so thankful for this channel. Like I was saying earlier, this has been such an important part of me having a good creative outlet for the last couple of years and building some different kinds of community than what I had. I don't think I really recognized it at the time, but I really think that it's not a coincidence that I started doing this in the midst of, you know, some really hard things in my life where I needed something that would be creative and immersive and distracting. And I'm really thankful for Booktube in providing me that, because I think this has been a wonderful hobby to kind of get me through some, you know, some tough times. I appreciate everybody's love and support throughout that, and just giving me the opportunity to really do something that's really fulfilling for me and something that adds creativity to my day-to-day life in a way that I think I really needed. And I'm really thankful for. I think my channel will continue to change, evolve, grow, etc. as I continue to change, evolve, and grow. But I'm just really thankful for everyone for being along on the ride with me and caring what I have to say about books at all, and, you know, asking me for recommendations and wanting to know my thoughts on things. Like, that's such a privilege. I don't take that for granted. I'm really thankful for it. And, you know, I try to be a good custodian of your time and a good custodian of your trust. So I hope I can continue to do that. I think that will do it for me, guys. I'll leave this as my question for the comments. What is your favorite thing about YouTube and your biggest pet peeve about YouTube? You can go Booktube or just YouTube writ large. Let me know that in the comments. Thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information linked in the description box below. Hope you're having a really lovely day, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye.